ICE is not welcome in our city.
Okay, get ready for this one. So recently in New York City, protesters decided to block off ICE agents, surround them, and prevent ICE agents from doing their job in New York City. And I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about this story, but here's where things are getting interesting. Now the New York City Police Department is being accused of working with ICE agents, but not only that, they're being accused of terrorizing protesters.
When we see demonstrations like yesterday by the violent, terrorizing police department.
So even though the protesters were the ones who showed up to the parking garage, blocked off the federal agents, started throwing things at the police officers, throwing things at the federal agents, the police officers are being called the Terrorizers, and so are the ICE agents. And if you are subscribed to my channel, how many times have we covered this same exact story in other cities? Putting the blame on police officers and putting the blame on federal agents for the actions of others. So we're gonna dig into this, and I have some rather interesting stuff to show you. Again, I don't think you're gonna believe what you're about to see. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. And I think people want to see what the heck is going on with this New York City situation. Now remember, the police and the federal agents, they're being accused of being Terrorizers. These are federal agents who are trying to leave this parking garage, and these are protesters showing up. Okay, eventually agents were able to leave the parking garage only because the New York City Police Department were helping them with an escort, and then this all happened.
Sidewalk! Move back! Move back!
Okay, so I got this video from Stu Smith on X, if you guys want to go give him a follow, but basically what we're seeing are protesters throwing garbage, getting in the way of the agents and the police officers, getting in the way of all of the roadways, and despite all of that, this is what Council Member Shahana Hanif has to say.
Hi everyone, I'm Councilmember Shahana Hanif. I represent neighborhoods in Brooklyn, including Kensington and Park Slope. I want to thank the protesters that said ICE is not welcome in our city. Their heroic demonstration shows that New Yorkers keep each other safe.
So, right off the bat, you are hearing this correctly. She is referring to the protesters as heroic. By the way, we don't even know who the protesters are. We're just assuming they are New Yorkers. A lot of them had their faces covered, so we have no idea if they even are New Yorkers, but she's calling them heroes, or their actions heroic.
What my colleague, Councilmember Sandy Nurse, shared about our sanctuary laws and NYPD breaking that law, violating that law, we as legislators are working on passing my bill into 214, the New York City Trust Act. When we see demonstrations like yesterday by the violent, terrorizing police department, it creates erosion.
Okay, if you are subscribed to my channel, you know this same exact thing happened over in Portland, where the city council members decided to pass a new law to make Portland even more of a sanctuary city. But the justification for the law was to prevent any sort of cooperation between the police department and federal agents. That included blocking off roadways from protesters to allow for traffic to go through and for ICE agents to go and do their job. So here we have another sanctuary city using the same exact justification we saw over in Portland.
We, the immigrant communities and law enforcement, we are seeing week after week incidents that show that our city is violating its own laws, and that is wrong.
Shame.
That is wrong. The SRG must be Disbanded? Yes. It must be disbanded. Yes. And all protesters who were arrested need to be free of any charges. Drop the charges now.
Okay, so leave your comments down below how you feel about these statements. Again, I don't hear anything about condemning any of the protesters who were blocking off New York City traffic. Extremely dangerous. New York City is at a very high security risk for anything like that. What if there was a fire? What if somebody had a heart attack and the ambulance had to get through? You know, things like that. But again, same pattern we hear all the time. Whether it's Chicago, Los Angeles, whether it's in Portland, we're not hearing anything about the protesters who were committing the violent acts. I mean, we simply saw it on camera. Nothing. In fact, we hear the opposite. Drop the charges. Okay, so when I was doing research for this video, it turns out Immigration Coalition did put this post out on Instagram. It has 1,784 likes, and the post says, "All out to Canal and Lafayette, near Q train, ICE raid imminent, rapid response needed immediately." So it looks like there was some sort of call to action or an alert that protesters were needed at the specific location we are talking about in this video, where federal agents were blocked off at the parking garage. And that's not the only one. This one's out there as well. New Yorkers blocking ICE van at Howard and Center in Chinatown now. Numbers needed all out.
ICE out of New York! ICE out of New York! ICE out of New York! You go home.
Now this video also popped up. 500 New Yorkers attend a hands-off New York City training today to learn how they can protect their neighbors from ICE. This is a real video. 47,000 likes.
Are you ready to get trained? Yes! All right, you came to the right place. Let's get started.
Please leave your comments down below how you feel about this, because I found another sort of type of training video, or a video to let people know how to use their whistle. Okay, get ready for this one.
Advocates are hoping that by making some noise, they'll be able to make a big difference in their fight against ICE raids here in the city. When you hear that sound, it could mean that Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents are in the area. The whistles have become the latest tool for immigrant advocates and concerned neighbors to fight back against ICE.
3 short tweets if ICE is in the neighborhood, so over and over, and then 3 long tweets if they're making an active abduction, or just 1 continuous. So
On Wednesday morning,
Okay, so now we know what to listen for in the background. We have 3 tweets, and then we have 1 long tweet.
New York 1 joined June as she did a patrol in Bushwick. She agreed to speak with us on camera if we concealed her identity for fear of retaliation. Going block by block on Irving Avenue, June was staying alert while also keeping an eye out for ICE agents. The volunteer patrols have organized themselves into shifts and broken up the neighborhood into zones.
we're constantly having to adapt our, tactics and protocol as ICE continues to ramp up their abductions and
Immigrant advocates are
Okay, so here we go again. If you are subscribed to my channel, we saw this happen in Chicago. Nearly the same exact thing. Whistles started to get passed out in mass numbers in the thousands, and people started utilizing those whistles. There are shifts, there are ICE watches, and now it looks like we're starting to see that over in New York City. Now, there is one major thing I think is very important here. With Mamdani coming into New York City, I think that does open up the door a little bit to have a more of an anti-ICE stance, because the current mayor of New York City, he's made it very clear. He doesn't mind if police officers are working with ICE agents, like the events we saw over in Chinatown talking about this video, but the new mayor, Mamdani, we still don't know exactly where he stands as far as if protesters are throwing things at ICE agents, can the police officers stop them? We don't know where he stands with that. He doesn't give us a black and white statement. It's very vague. A lot of the blame just gets shifted on the ICE agents, and they keep getting called these terrorizers. Now, Homeland Security has made it very simple for New York City and the other sanctuary cities. Just give us the names of the people who committed these violent offenses and are illegal immigrants.
Or of justice. We're seeing that these criminal illegal aliens are exiting the jails and going back onto New York or Chicago or these other sanctuary streets to re-perpetuate their crimes. Today, in New York City's jails are 7,169 criminal illegal aliens. We're talking about hundreds of murderers, hundreds of sexual predators, drug traffickers, the worst of the worst. Dan Goldman and these other sanctuary city politicians, they should agree to hand over those individuals, honor those detainers, and then we won't have to flood the zone with our ICE law enforcement. We won't have to put those men and women on the ground because we will get these vicious criminals out of New York City's jails.
You would be surprised how many people don't know this is happening. People know that New York City or other sanctuary cities, they're not going to cooperate with ICE or DHS when it comes to a civil offense. Like if an illegal immigrant gets a traffic violation, obviously the implication is no cooperation. But you would be shocked how many people don't actually know there are currently violent offenders who are illegal immigrants and there's no cooperation going on behind the scenes. But I want you guys to take a listen as to what the circumstances have to be in order to cooperate with ICE, because the Mamdani team does create a qualification.
We certainly were clear about our disagreements in the room, and the mayor-elect made clear that we uphold sanctuary laws in our city and all immigrants will be safe in our city. We also made very clear that we feel there has been inhumane raids just this week. So it will be a future conversation with the president, but we again grounded in an overall desire and the acknowledgement that our sanctuary city laws allow cooperation in extreme violent felony cases. And that
Extreme violent felony cases. I don't know what exactly that means. I don't know if a murderer would constitute as extreme violent felony cases, or you have to go above and beyond. And like you heard from Homeland Security, you would assume there are people who meet the qualifications for the Mamdani team, but we just don't know until Mamdani is officially in office. Okay, so while we're on the topic of protesting ICE, these are protesters in Home Depot protesting ICE in California. Now, this is a growing trend throughout the United States to go to a Home Depot and protest ICE, but here's a clip showcasing that. And yes, this is a real video. This is not AI. This is not parody. This is 100% true.
Exactly the richest drummer.
That's what actually was out of position.
Now everybody's attention, please. If you're purchasing something,
I've been volunteering with
you can come to this side. Come to this side for the customers to walk through. Not the same.
But they still have like a good.
So, according to my research, the idea behind this is that people are buying ice scrapers and then some of them are re-returning them to Home Depot. But somebody in the comments made a really good observation. I mean, California doesn't have a lot of snow, especially where this is taking place. So, these are not ice scrapers. A lot of people seem to be purchasing like a chisel, which is not a scraper. For anyone who's ever had snow on their car, do not use a chisel on your windshield. You could destroy it. So, I'm just trying to point out, for those of you who live in states that have snow and you're noticing these are not ice scrapers, that's because a lot of these people are buying chisels, I guess.
What are you buying? Nice scraper. Nice. What are you guys buying?
We are buying ice scrapers.
Right.
Thank you.
What are you buying? Nice scraper. Sorry. What are you buying today?
I'm buying ice scraper.
Oh yeah. What are you buying today?
I am buying an anvil putty knife.
An ice scraper.
Okay, so he just said that's a putty knife, and then she's saying it's an ice scraper. Again, do not use a putty knife. Make sure you use an actual ice scraper. But I think you guys get the point. I don't even know what to say to this video. I wasn't going to make a designated video about this. I figured we just throw it in here so you guys can see what's going on, or at the very least how some protesters are tackling their ICE issues according to the protesters. Now, this protesting of Home Depots is becoming a trend, like I said, throughout Home Depots around the United States, specifically Home Depots in areas where it's known that an ICE raid occurred, and Home Depot is being accused of somehow being involved with this.
Managers at a Home Depot in Gretna called ICE on some individuals, and 5 people were taken by ICE.
I mean, they pulling a squad, like.
A group of local activists and organizers demonstrated their solidarity with immigrants by going to Home Depot, and here's how things went.
Manager came to me about what thing? About passing out.
Holding in attempted 62C at 18
Of course, everything's gonna go crazy right now. Handing out flyers, things like that. No? Okay. Well, what the management has asked is that if you're part of this group, you please leave. Okay? It's disrupting their business. They said people were blocking the door. Maybe not intentionally, but it was doing that. It was causing them.
By the way, we don't even know why Home Depot called ICE. We are just hearing the story that Home Depot called ICE, and now protesters are showing up. So, again, a common theme we see in a lot of these protester or advocacy type movements is that we hardly ever know what exactly the protesters are protesting until after the fact. Like, I covered this in St. Paul, Minnesota just a few days ago. Protesters were surrounding ICE agents, started to get furious with the police who showed up. It turned out ICE had a warrant for somebody who was not the best individual and had felonies under his name, yet protesters still showed up. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, the implication we're getting with New York City is that we can expect some more clashing. Now, in order for protesters to want to continue to do the protesting or blocking of ICE agents or getting them out of their city, they need some sort of backing from the local politicians, from the city council, from the mayor. That is crucial. That is key for the success of these protester groups. And to the Trump administration, they made it quite simple. You have to work with us. If not, we're just going to send in more federal agents. So what exactly does that mean? Well, that's a clear implication. We're probably going to be seeing some more actions in New York City because according to New York City sanctuary laws, you really can't have cooperation unless under extreme felony violent cases, or however they said it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for being here. God bless, and please pray for peace. We need that right now. I'll see you all later. Thank you again.